You're listening to Milcaster Tales, brought to you by knowhownonprofit.org.
Contract? What contract? Part 1. Joan's been so preoccupied with planning the 10th anniversary celebrations for Age Aid that she's completely taken her eye off the ball about their future financial position in the light of the move from grants to contract tendering by local authorities. As 80% of Age Aid's funding currently comes from the local authority, is their future sustainable? What do you mean, an hour and a half? Luke's face flushes angrily, but he tries to sound reassuring. Now, Mum, calm down. Go make yourself a cup of tea, put the fire on, get warm. I'm going to go down to Age Aid. It's just up the road. Sort this out. See you later. Luke ends the call and heads along the road from the Milcaster Mercury's office to the community centre from which Age Aid delivers their services. He passes a banner advertising, "Age Aid is 10 today. Come in and celebrate our birthday." Luke Matthews, Milcaster Mercury. He snaps at the man on the door of the community centre and flashes his press pass. Not waiting for a response, he pushes past and marches towards a group happily waving flags on sticks with the Age Aid logo on them. "Who's in charge here?" he demands of a frail-looking elderly man trying to juggle a large slice of cake and a flag. "That'll be Joan. Over there," pointing with his plate to a woman walking up onto the stage to a loud cheer from the crowd. Luke watches as Joan clears her throat and, gripping the microphone tightly, begins to speak in a rather nervous voice. "Thank you. Thank you all for coming today. And also many thanks to the Lady Mayoress, our new MP, Des Butcher, and of course our chair, Ed Weiner. I can't tell you how proud I am to be standing here celebrating Age Aid's 10th birthday." Joan begins to describe how she'd been looking for help for her father and not finding anything suitable, got together with a group of friends, and Age Aid was born 10 years ago today. Luke listens impatiently, tapping his foot. Joan starts by thanking a list of people. When she mentions the Age Aiders, a group of volunteer drivers who collect and take home anyone who needs transport, Luke can't stop himself muttering loudly, "What about my 89-year-old mum, left waiting outside her flat in the cold today? An hour and a half. Disgrace." People around Luke start shushing him. Sunita goes up to Luke and quietly asks what's wrong. She offers him some cake, which he gruffly refuses. Eventually the speeches finish, and Joan leaves the stage to enthusiastic applause. She heads straight to Sunita, who tells her what happened. "It was his mum, Doll Matthews, left waiting outside her flats for ages in the cold. The minibus didn't pick her up. And I think he's a journalist," Sunita adds anxiously. Taking a deep breath, Joan goes straight over to Luke, who's speaking to the mayoress. She overhears him asking something about the likely privatisation of the care sector. The mayoress, looking uncomfortable and visibly relieved at seeing Joan, doesn't respond to Luke, but introduces her and politely moves away. Joan says soothingly to Luke, "I'm so sorry you're upset. Please, tell me what happened to Doll. She's such a sweetie, one of our lunch club regulars." Luke's pleased that Joan knows Doll personally, and by her eagerness to make amends for the fact that his mum's missed the birthday event. He's curious about the organisation and starts asking questions. How many people do they help? What services do they offer? How are they funded? Joan gives him some facts and figures, thinking it would be good to have a positive write-up of the celebration in the Milcaster Mercury. "How are you expecting to be affected by the council's spending cuts?" Luke continues. "Not too worried," Joan responds brightly. "Our excellent Treasurer Dom has just submitted an application for our next 3 years' funding." "You're about the only charity I know who isn't worried," Luke says, laughing cynically. Joan ignores this and continues cheerfully. "We've built an excellent relationship with Sian James in the Health and Social Care Department at the council. She always supports us." Sian James left a couple of months ago in the recent downsizing of that department, Luke says dryly. A lot of people are having trouble with the move from grants to contracts and the tendering process. How's Age Aid doing? Joan looks uncomfortable, feeling foolish and naive, remembering an unopened email from Sian she'd just assumed to be an acknowledgement of their funding bid. She relies on the treasurer to manage their applications to the council, and he'd not mentioned any significant change. Reminding herself that Luke's a journalist, Joan says briskly but unconvincingly, "I'm sure our treasurer's got any changes well in hand." "Any worries about Lawson Care? Heard they've been gobbling up a lot of local authority services around here." Joan gets up to leave. "So sorry, Luke. Must go and circulate. And please do apologise to your mother. I'll make sure it doesn't happen again. Do take some cake for her." Luke wanders about the community centre for a while, chatting to a few people. He takes a few pictures, then leaves, holding a neat parcel of carefully wrapped cake. As soon as the birthday celebrations are over, Joan rushes back to the Age Aid office in the mill to look for a copy of the application to the council for their next tranche of funding. Finding the file, she notices in horror that Dom just seems to have done a simple cut-and-paste job from the last time, and either left questions about outcomes unanswered, sometimes even putting NA, or for evidence lifted some very basic information about their activities straight from their last annual review. "Oh my God," gasps Joan, "and I signed it without checking." Furiously flicking through the papers, she's startled by the door opening. In walks Simon, her husband. "Joni, we're supposed to have left half an hour ago. Thought you'd still be here. We've got to be at the airport in an hour. Our romantic weekend starts here, and you're not allowed to bring any work, so put that file away and come on." "Oh, Simon, sorry. OK," Joan says distractedly. She stuffs the file into her drawer, grabs her coat and bag, and follows him out, leaving her mobile on the desk. Back at the Milcaster Mercury office, Luke is both on the phone and typing furiously at the same time. Unusually, he hasn't stopped to make himself even one pint-sized mug of the builder's strength tea he's famous for. "You look like a man on a mission," says a colleague, passing his desk. Says Luke, not looking up. Finally, he finishes. Grabbing a sheet off the printer, Luke marches over to the sub-editor who's busy setting out this week's edition of Milcaster Mercury and plonks it in front of him. "What do you think, Mike?" "Bit late," says Mike grumpily, scanning the contents. "But hold the front page, as they say."
You've been listening to Milcaster Tales. Keep up to date with the latest Milcaster events and discussions at knowhownonprofit.org.